Welcome back to another Hoop Scoop Media Conference preview. Today, we are on the Big Sky. I'm joined by Luke. I know this is not really Kyle's one of his favorite conferences, so you're doing him a favor right now.
Hand it off to me. Yeah, I don't know. Big
I
Sky,
like the Big
hit
Sky.
or hit or miss for me sometimes. I usually get around to watching the conference tournament quite a bit, and
There's
like,
some fun teams in the league. There's usually some
yeah,
pretty fun teams, I will
you've had
say.
guys like Dylan Jones come through the league in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
I mean,
Dalton Connect
Dalton
spent
Connect.
a year here. St. Thomas now at USC. So I don't. Yeah, good talent throughout the league. Comes and
Yes.
goes.
Yeah, but yeah, the league last year, 22nd in the Ken Palm standings. Eastern Washington was the regular season champions. They won the conference by 3 games. They were the highest ranked team in Ken Palm, but for the second straight year, they just fell apart in the conference tournament. I don't think they won a game. Nope, they
They
lost to
lost
Sacramento
to I
State.
think it was yeah yeah
They've done that 2 years in a row. They won't be doing that this year though, or at least it'll look different because of a new coach, new roster. But Montana State, they ended up getting the win in the conference tournament, making it into the playing game where they lost to Grambling State in the first four. But
yeah. Three
yeah,
straight years for Montana State
yes.
with the bid.
Yeah, no Danny Sprinkle, still got it done in year one of the Matt Logie era. But yeah, just touching on some of the players last year on the all-conference team and where they are now. Dylan Jones, the player of the year in the conference, is off in his pro career. Got drafted. Who did he get? Did he get drafted to Thunder?
Let's look that up quickly. 51st pick. Oh wait, no. He was drafted 26 by the
26.
Wizards and he was traded to the Knicks.
He's on the Thunder now, it says.
And then, oh wait, no, it does say Thunder. I don't know.
I don't know. Probably one of their traded draft picks or whatever. I don't know. I like
Yeah.
the Thunder though. They have a lot of fun guys, and
Okay,
I
he was
loved
traded
watching
from
Dylan
the
Jones.
Wizards to the Knicks to the Thunder all on draft night. So, yeah.
That was probably like a I don't know if that was like a just like pick that the Thunder had, but like I don't know. The draft is like weird with that stuff. Like other teams will draft like a guy that like isn't their pick with like the trades and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Anyway, though, some other players on the all conference team from last year. Cedric Howard for Eastern Washington is off to Washington State, following David Riley, who we'll get into shortly, but took the job at Washington State from Eastern Washington. Anen Moody from Montana exhausted his eligibility. St. Thomas, as you previously mentioned, from Northern Colorado, is off to play with Eric Musselman at USC. Robert Ford III from Montana State exhausts his eligibility. Braden Parker from Idaho State exhausts his eligibility. And Trenton McLaughlin from Northern Arizona is back at NAU. On the second team, KJ Allen from Portland State exhausted his eligibility. Ethan Price from Eastern Washington also followed Riley to Washington State. Deshaun Thomas from Montana exhausted his eligibility. Casey Jones from Eastern Washington also followed Riley to Washington State, but he will not be playing for a few years. I believe he's on some sort of mission overseas right now, or I don't know where it is, but pretty sure he'll be like 2 or 3 years before he plays at Wazoo. Carson Basham for Northern Arizona went pro. Believe there was some academic issues there, so he is no longer on the team and has started his pro career. And DeJour Reeves for Northern Colorado transferred to Iona, going back to his home state of New York there. So yeah, um, fair amount of transfers out, not a ton back, but a few pieces back. So then we have some coaching changes in the league. As mentioned a few times there, Eastern Washington head coach David Riley really won in his short time there. Although not in the conference tournament, but really had some good regular season campaigns. Is off to Washington State. Dan Monson is the new hire. Monson has accomplished quite a bit in his career. Especially at Gonzaga, kind of started the program. I know he was with your Gophers for a little bit, didn't go that well, but I think it's an okay hire considering Eastern Washington is not a program that is known for having like resources really.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what Monson can do. Time kind of tailed off with Long Beach State, but yeah, as you said, just a successful coach over a long period of time. Mildly successful, but yeah, very very experienced. I think it's a good hire. Or can prove to be a good hire.
Yeah,
Is
obviously,
in the twilight of his career, though, I would say.
yes. Familiar with the area though, as kind of up in the same area as Gonzaga and the other coaching change in the conference. Michael Zeppel is the interim coach at Sacramento State after Dave Patrick left to take an assistant job at, you know, wait, where did he go again?
Let's make sure we got this figured out. LSU's associate head coach.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, Patrick no longer there, but
Yeah, going
yes.
going back home to Louisiana. So
Yes, I believe he spent some time there before. But yeah, moving to our personal all conference teams now. No new teams departing or going into the league, but going on our all conference teams. My player of the year went with a transfer in from the Division two level, and that is Kai Johnson for Montana. Can really score the ball, good athlete. I think he's gonna surprise some people right away.
yeah, I went with Trent McLaughlin for Northern Arizona. Um, Montana's got a handful of like star guys. I think they all kind of might take away from each other, whereas McLaughlin is more of the clear cut go to option for NAU, who should take a big step up this year, returning a lot of guys.
Yes. My defensive player of the year is Julius Mims for Idaho. Pretty long shot blocking forward. Was really good defender in his first year out of JUCO last year, and I think he'll only get better on that end.
Yeah, I have Mims as well. Um, yeah, you covered him already, but one of the better defenders in the conference can protect the rim. So even if Idaho themselves as a team aren't good, I still think he deserves to be in contention for the award.
Yes. And then my freshman year, went with a guy with probably one of the most fun names in college basketball. That's Trap Johnson from Montana State. 6'6" wing should have an opportunity to see some solid minutes right away on a pretty solid Montana State team. 3-star, yeah, from Texas. I think he'll be an impact right away.
I went with Colton Mitchell. Played 10 games at Idaho State last year, but he's still listed as a redshirt freshman. So got his injury redshirt. So I don't. You could put an asterisk on it, but
Yeah.
he's already proved himself as a
Mhm.
solid player in the conference. Now transferring to Idaho, I have him as my freshman of the year.
Yes, I didn't include him. I didn't know like what to do there, but if he's eligible for the award, I don't know exactly how it works, but definitely someone that could
Yeah,
win it.
that was kind of my one like asterisk to it too. I wasn't sure if they would qualify him, especially because he played in conference. But
Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, moving to my first team of five players, I have Kai Johnson, my player dear from Montana. I have Blaze three for Weber State, Brian Goraki from Montana State, Joey Madimba, a JUCO transfer into Idaho State, and your player of the year, Trent McLaughlin for NAU.
I've got Trent McLaughlin, my player of the year, and then I've got pair of Montana guys, Brandon Whitney and Money Williams, who I think you mentioned to me kind of
Yeah,
off air before. He's has some sort of family stuff, but
yes. Believe his both of his parents have passed away like somewhat recently, so I think he's away from the team now. Obviously, prayers out to him. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with him. Definitely
yeah,
good to hear that he's putting his family first in a situation like this. And yeah, we'll see if he's
yeah. If
back
he
with the team.
if he does return, very solid piece. 13-4 last year as a freshman. Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe I'd go like for like replacement, put Kai Johnson in there, um, his teammate. But regardless, Whitney and Williams for Montana, and then finishing out my first team alongside McLaughlin is pair of Montana State guys, Brian Garacki and Brandon Walker.
Yes. So moving to my second team, I have for your guys there. I have Brandon Whitney, Montana point guard. I have one guy that I really like, and that's Viljami Vartinen, Weber State, rising sophomore, really good shooter, international prospect. I think it's definitely someone that you should keep an eye on. Julius Mims, my defense player of the year from Idaho. Brandon Walker, as you mentioned, Montana State big man. And I have Brock Wisney from Northern Colorado, big man there.
For my second team, I've got Jerron Riley, point guard for Northern Colorado. His teammate Quinn Denker transferring in from Idaho, averaged 12-4 there. And then Miguel Tomley, another interconference transfer for Weber State, played at Idaho State last year, averaged 14 a game. Rising sophomore, I believe, for Eastern Washington, Mason Williams. And then Carson Tote, big man for Northern Arizona.
Yes, coming off an injury there, which sidelined out for all of last season, but definitely a guy to monitor there. My third team, I have Jerron Riley, Northern Colorado point guard, Jaden Jackson from Northern Arizona, Sebastian Tidor from Portland State, JUCO guy coming in there. I have another JUCO guy, and Angela Winkle from Eastern Washington, and my last guy is to John Sawyer, big man for Montana.
My third team consists of Kent Myers, the D2 transfer for Portland State. Averaged 16, 5, and 7 last year and 9 games left the team. So maybe a bit of a head case. I don't know the
I
situation there.
believe that was
Somewhat.
also like a not great D2 team, so I was a little skeptical, but the numbers stick out at least.
Yeah. And then Joey Madimba, JUCO transfer for Idaho State, guy you had on your first team. Then Tayshaw Jackson, transfer from VMI in at Northern Colorado. And then the big man on the third team, Dyson Kohler for Weber State, and Julius Mims, my defensive player of the year from Idaho.
Yes. Moving to my all freshman team, I have Trap Johnson, my freshman year from Montana State. I have two Montana guys in Tyler Thompson and Jensen Bradkey. Bradkey is a transfer from St. Mary's, redshirt freshman. I have Sadiq Moore from Weber State, and my last guy is an international recruit in Victor Lucic Gavrich, Northern Colorado, yeah, incoming freshman there.
I think we've got a full five of differences. So I've got
Really?
Colton Mitchell, my freshman of the year, pair of Weber State guys, Trevor Hennig and Nemanja Sarnec. I'm not sure on the pronunciations there, I guess. And then pair of big guys for Eastern Washington, Jackson Seal and Sean Boyangoyi.
Yeah, we will see. Definitely hard to pick out the freshman in this league who's going to be good and who's not because I can't say I've really watched much on any of these guys. But I will be keeping up with their progress this year, so that'll have to suffice. But moving to our breakout players, one guy I had and one guy I really like is Bailey Nunn from Sacramento State. Started to play well at the end of last season. I liked him coming out of Australia the year before, and Sacramento State is a team that's not looking too promising, especially with the interim coach and not really returning any significant pieces. Yeah, but Nunn can shoot it. I think he should be a solid point guard for this team, and I think he's a guy that will really break out.
Yeah, I've got none listed in mine. Then I've also got his teammate Bowen Betty,
Yeah.
7 footer, um, part of last year's freshman class. So another sophomore, averaged 4 and 5, and should be the starting big there and have a big role as a sophomore.
Yes, I had him as well. I also, while we're on this, I also had Emil Skidda from Sacramento State. Three Sacramento State guys that are good need guys to break out. So it's kind of a safe bet, at least picking some people from the team.
Yeah, and then um, Moving on to my next guy, Mason Williams for Eastern Washington. Had him as part of my all conference teams and averaged 4 game last year as a freshman. And I think should have a big role this year. Very efficient during his time on the floor last year, and with basically everybody who played really meaningful minutes last year following David Riley to Washington State. I think it gives him a chance to stick out as a guy that um, returns and now under Monson, um, a chance to break out.
Yes. I also had another Eastern Washington guy in Sebastian Hartman. Believe he is a German prospect going year two with the program again. Yeah, Eastern Washington is another school that needs guys to step up and betting on him in this situation.
Yeah, Hartman, my fourth guy on the list, and then my final guy is Marco Sarnak. Had his cousin on the all freshman team, and then I think he'll be vying for a spot in the front court rotation for Weber State, and I think should have a bigger role as a sophomore. So another guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah. My last guy on my breakout is Diego Camposano from Northern Arizona. Stretch big man, shot over 40% from three last year on about a make per game. So, um, really efficient, was playing pretty solid in conference play. But we'll see how the minutes look with Basham no longer there and Tout back from injury. But Camposano definitely a guy that stuck out to me, especially in his growth from his freshman to his sophomore year.
That's all five for me then, because I had Para Eastern guys, Para Sac State, and then Sarnak.
Yep. So moving to our top 10 transfers, number one, obviously my player of the year is Kai Johnson going to Montana from Western Washington, I believe.
My top transfer is Miguel Tomley for Weber State, interconference transfer guy from Idaho State. I had Johnson at fifth.
All right. My my number two is Tomley going into yep, in conference from
And then
Idaho State to Weber State.
my second guy is Quinn Denker for Northern Colorado, another interconference guy coming over from Idaho.
Yep, have Denker at three.
Okay. And then my third is Kate Myers for Portland State.
And my fourth, another Northern Colorado guy is Tasha Jackson.
Yep, I've got Jackson at four as well. 11 and 10 last year at VMI. So
Yes, VMI not a good team, but he put up some solid numbers, especially on the glass. Number five, I have Malik Moore coming into Montana from Pepperdine, solid player there, and yeah, Montana's going to be good this year.
yeah, and then five is where I have Johnson.
Yep. Number six, I have another Montana guy, Austin Patterson. I believe he's another in conference guy coming over from Sacramento State. Good shooter and should be another solid rotational piece.
At six, I have Max Agbankpolo, coming over from Utah State, going to Montana State. So the reverse Great Osborne and Danny Sprinkle transfer, but I think he should have a big year stepping down a level.
Yeah, I have him at eight. He was like good at USC, but just kind of beginning like progressively worse as he's moved down levels. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, we'll see what happens.
we
Hopefully
will.
it is his level, but
Definitely has an intrigue at least. Number seven, though, I have Cam Slaymaker from Idaho State coming in from Southern Nazarene.
and then number seven, that's where I've got Colton Mitchell. I included him in both the transfer and the freshman list. Not sure how he'll really be treated, but played 10
Yeah,
games and then redshirted. So,
yes, yeah, eight Polo.
and then eight, I've got Isaiah Hawthorne for Northern Colorado. Averaged 4 points a game last year with San Francisco.
Yes, number nine, I have another Montana State guy, and that's Jay Mullins coming over from Washington State. Definitely had a really good year 2 years ago. Didn't do as much this year, but I think he should be a pretty solid piece in this conference.
Yeah, number nine, I've got another former Power Conference guy, Tyler Powell for Eastern Washington. Played a bit at Seton Hall, and then I believe redshirted at Nevada last
Yes.
season.
Yep, and I had Powell at 10.
And then my 10th guy is Shea Noel. Played a small role at UNLV last season. Now comes into Portland State.
Yep, so now, after the conclusion of our top 10 transfers, we will be reviewing every team in the conference going from worst to first based off last year. So, first off, starting with Sacramento State, and I have them in 10th yet again.
I've got Sacramento State in ninth.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like their young talent. Bailey Nunn, Alex Kovacev played about 23 minutes a game as a freshman last year. Betty is a guy that seems to be on the path to break out. Um, but there's still not a lot here.
Yeah, losing five of their top six. So I don't know. I think it's a year that you'll see growth over time. We talked about Beatty, Skida, Nunn, Kovacev, another guy part of the freshman class last year. So I don't. I think
Yeah.
there'll be progress this year, like from November to March, but obviously still not super high on this team.
Yeah, a few transfers in, Jalen Petre, one of the few Pepperdine guys transferring into Big Sky. Solid role player there. EJ Neal, in conference guy from Idaho, played almost half the game there, about 19 minutes. Got a guy from Alberta, Julius Vons, and then Deontay Williams from South Georgia Tech Junior College. But yeah, overall, still not looking great. Jacob Holt's another solid big man. I think between Betty and Holt, I like the five spot, but still, yeah,
Yeah,
not a
it'll
ton to
be
be. Yeah.
it'll be up to what Nunn, Skida, Kovacev prove over the course of the year to if there's progress there. But I still think probably eighth, ninth, 10th, ninth, and 10th, the more realistic scenarios.
Yes. Next team up is Idaho. They went 5-13 in conference play in year one of the Alex Pribble era, and in year two, I have them at seventh.
I've got Idaho finishing eighth.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid team. I like them definitely better than the bottom few in the conference, I'd say. Obviously you mentioned Colton Mitchell. He's probably going to be a pretty big piece if I guess I don't know if he's fully healthy, but yeah, played some solid minutes right away as a freshman. For Idaho State, Tyler Mears, another guy coming off injury, played only like 2 games last season, but I think a guy that should be a pretty solid starter, if he is indeed healthy. Isaiah Brickner is a guy I kind of liked at Marist, but never really panned out in the breakout way that I was expecting. I guess what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on the team?
I mean Brickner, yeah, not the most efficient guy at Marist, but I think you bring him in and then Colin Mitchell coming over too. I think there's a reason for promise in the backcourt, and then I think the front court 3, 4, 5 spots are all pretty solidified that to be able to compete night in night out. Morris, as long as he's healthy, Julius Mims, both our defensive player of the year, Kyson
Yes.
Rose, another guy,
Yes, and
Tyler
then
Linhart should be in the
yeah,
rotation.
Linhart for Washington transfer there. Should yeah, Jack Payne is a guy I'm kind of intrigued in. Colorado State transfer didn't really do much there, but would think he'd be a pretty solid player at this level. Um, got a D3 transfer in JoJo Anderson from Whitworth. Yeah, like I don't hate this team. I think it's probably a step up from last year.
Yeah, I think it'll be a team better off than last year. Not like a sub 300 pump team, but still a ways to go before you compete with the upper echelon of this conference.
Yes. Next up, though, Northern Arizona, 7-11 in conference play last year. I have them at fifth this year.
I've got Northern Arizona in fifth as well. Um, I talked about it a little, I guess, when I mentioned Trent McLaughlin, but four double-digit scores back: Oakland Fort, Jaden Jackson, Trent McLaughlin, Carson Tao. I think between the two of us, all of them were a part of all conference teams. So a solid group there, and then just kind of have to figure out the five spot. I'm not
Yeah, probably
too in on
Tout.
Ali Ragab, but
Yeah, he didn't even
I'm
like play at D2, and that was a bad D2 team that he didn't get him
yeah,
into. And I think they'd be going with Tout, Jack Wistersill can play the
gotcha.
five, who a guy that was also hurt last year. Camposano can slide in at the four, play a little bit of five, but he's not huge. And then yeah, I think Monty Bowser is at least like partially intriguing. He ended like the season before last with a few big games at Cal. Didn't really hardly score or do anything last year, but at least named at monitor going down a level, I think.
Yeah, I think he could definitely provide a role. We'll see what he looks like at the Big Sky, but yeah, definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Um, Probably won't have a great offensive output, but should still be a positive player for them, I would think.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, a lot of returning talent. Um, Getting Tout back is big. After not having him at all last year, but we'll see.
And
Um,
then yeah, you've got one of the best players in the conference in McLaughlin, and then guys that have been here before. I could definitely see this team overall just kind of sticking through the middle of the conference and then maybe breaking a run in the conference tournament. We've seen like last year, Montana State finished fifth and win it. So
mhm.
definitely a chance with all of the experienced returning talent they have.
Yes. Next up is going to be Idaho State, another 7-11 team in conference play last year. I have the Bengals at fourth this year.
I've got Idaho State in 10th, I guess. I'm not
Really?
as big
That's
on the team as you, but
that's
yeah.
interesting. I think I don't know. I mean, they have two top 30 JUCO players. They have Slaymaker averaged 16 on a
Yeah.
pretty good D2 school.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're more the JUCO extraordinaire than I am, I think.
Well, I don't know
Yeah,
about that, but they're ranked pretty highly.
yeah, I saw the top 15 from Adimba. I mean, snuck him into my all conference teams, but I don't know, just only two guys back from last year, and we'll see what happens. Definitely questions to be answered, but four double-digit scores out the door.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the talent should be here at least with the JUCO guys. Few transfers, Quentin Meza coming in from Wofford, a few other non-D1 transfers, and Jake O'Neal and Connor Hollenbeck. Dylan Darling too. I don't know about him. I guess we'll see if he can. This is probably more of his level to begin with, but I don't know. I just really like the talent coming in. I think Ryan Looney's a decent coach, so
Yeah,
I'm buying the Bengals.
I'm willing to be proven wrong, I guess.
Yeah. So next up is going to be
Portland State, I
um
think.
yes. Yeah, Portland State 8-10 in conference play last year, and I have them at where am I? I have them at eighth this year.
I've got Portland State seventh.
Yeah, I mean, again, not a team I'm too in on. After losing KJ Allen, lost some other pretty solid players, and I don't know. I don't love their transfer class. I guess there's some intrigue there, but
Yeah, Keenan Myers. I guess we talked about him a little before. Filled up the stat sheet, but um, you mentioned wasn't the greatest D2 program. Also left 9 games in. So what will he bring consistency wise for them? I do like Shane Noel, Jalen Henderson, Shane Noel from UNLV, and then Jalen Henderson, Terry Miller from Louisiana Tech. I think those are guys
Yeah.
dropping down a level slightly, could all have a positive impact. And then you've got Isaiah Johnson, Ismail Habib, two experienced returners coming back. I don't know. I think it's a team that can be solid. I don't know if there's a very high ceiling, but
Yeah, no, I'm buying Sebastian Tidor. Coming in from JUCO, All American there, averaged about 23 points per game at Roan State. I don't know. I think he's who you have to buy. I guess I don't really like Noel enough. Like if they're really gonna
fair,
break
fair.
through, I think he would be the guy to buy. Yeah, and then some okay returners. Isaiah Johnson's solid. Hayden Curtis should be a serviceable big man, and the Louisiana Tech guys should be better in the Big Sky. But I guess we'll see. I also got Isaac Bryce from Iona. Didn't do much there. We'll see. Um, Next up though is going to be Montana
Montana
State.
State.
Yes, won the conference last year. 9-9 in conference play though. Won the conference tournament, and I have them second this year.
Yeah, I've got the Bobcats second as well. Bring back Brian Garacki, Brandon Walker. Two guys averaged 13 over 13 a game last year. I had them both on my all conference team. So I think that's a solid start. Um, I mean, here's where I'll buy into the JUCO hype a bit. Bryce Effer and Jeremiah Davis, two guys into the backcourt for them that should be solid. Jabe
Yes.
Mullins and Agmont Polo coming down a level as well. Mentioned each of them in our top 10 transfers.
Yeah. I agree. I really like this team, even though they weren't that great last year. And losing Robert Ford, Goraki, second year transfer, Brandon Walker also a second year transfer. Got two pretty highly regarded JUCO guys. Zephyr coming from yeah, a Salt Lake team that's traditionally really good. I believe he spent some time at North Texas prior. Yeah, Jeremiah Davis coming from another good program in Fullerton, in California. And yeah, the bench is pretty deep too. Jabe Mullins, yeah, Chicken Duca, BJ Colley coming in from Western Washington. I think there's a lot to like here. Um, and again, it's also year two for the coach Matt Logie.
Yeah, already started putting things together last year in the conference tournament, made a run. So I think that's just even more reason to buy in what they can be. And traditionally, a strong program that have won the last 3 tournaments. So
Yes. Patrick McMahon also should be back. He only played 3 games last year, first 3 games this season, but scored double digits in all of them. So interesting to monitor. Could provide a solid impact as he was on track for, but I believe he's gotten hurt the past 2 seasons. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. Next team up though, Weber State went 11-7 in conference play last year, and I have them third, right behind Montana State in the conference standings.
I've got Weber State in fourth.
Yeah, I mean, no Dylan Jones anymore. He did everything and more for Weber State, but I still generally like the roster. You got two
Yeah,
double-digit returners, three in color, and then yeah, some solid
Alex.
transfers too.
Yeah, Alex two, returning big man, 7-4 last year, and then I highlighted Miguel Tomley, already averaged 14 a game on pretty good shooting splits at Idaho State in this conference before. So now hopefully can be part of a bit more of a winning team. But I think there's reason for intrigue there. And then the Saranac cousins, I think,
Yes.
could both provide something off the bench. I'm big on them. So
Yeah, and I'm really, as I mentioned earlier, really into Viljami Vartan and really good shooter. And I think he's a guy we see have a sophomore breakout. Played really well in their scrimmage against Utah State. Um, and yeah, Nigel Burris as well, formerly the freshman of the year in this conference when he was at Idaho a few years ago. Didn't do anything much at Utah State last year, but as we saw, he's been impactful in this conference before, so should be a little bit better. Vasily Vucinic, other transfer in from Portland, should provide some big man help there. Um, yeah, I guess we'll just see how they adjust post Dylan Jones. But next team up is Northern Colorado, 12-6 in conference play last year, and I have them sixth this year.
I've got Northern Colorado finishing third. I like Jaron Riley, Brock Wisney, two of their impactful returners. Obviously,
Yeah.
losing two all conference guys, but I still think they can be up and near the top of the conference. The I like the transfer class coming in as well. Denker from Idaho, Jackson from VMI. Talked about both of those guys. Isaiah Hawthorne, Will Humor as well, stepping down a level. So
Yeah, it's definitely a solid team. I'm slightly concerned about replacing Thomas and Reeves. I'm not sure anyone in the roster is quite to the capability that those players were last year, but yeah, I do like the backcourt of Ridley and Denker. Hawthorne should be pretty solid stepping down a level. Langston Reynolds could do something off the bench. And yeah, a lot of freshmen in the team too. Zach Block, senior should be pretty solid piece either off the bench or starting. And then yeah,
yeah,
I think it's a solid Big Sky squad.
yeah, definitely. You have to weigh the loss of St. Thomas and DeJour Reeves, but then I think one of the better transfer classes in the conference coming in my eyes. So I think they can bounce back up. I don't know if there's the ceiling that last year's team probably had, but I still think it's a team that can compete in this conference. And you're led by a graduate guard, Jaron really been around, takes care of the ball, good playmaker. So I think he's the key for them, and I think he raises their ceiling a bit.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Next team up, Montana finished 12-6 in conference play last year and second. I have them moving up to first this year.
Yep, I've got Montana to win the league as well. Had a couple of their guys on my first team with Whitney and Money Williams, and then Tejan Sawyer, a part of your all conference teams. Another key guy coming back for them, Kai Johnson as well from D2, your player of the year. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens with the Money Williams situation. Because he is a guy that definitely could be player of the year if he's with the team and healthy. But even if he's not, like I still think they have a really good depth. I mean, honestly have a ton of depth with um bringing in a few guys on my transfer list and Austin Patterson and Malik Moore, Joe Pridgeon as well. He's been around for a while, coming from Northeastern most recently. Mari Jedkins, rising sophomore from Green Bay, and then Jensen Bradke, who I mentioned on my freshman team, transfer in redshirt freshman from St. Mary's. Zach Davidson, probably someone to monitor as well. It's the brother of Nick Davidson, Montana forward or Nevada forward, the brother of
yeah,
yeah. Jalen Foy as well, incoming junior college prospect, average 14.8. So I think there's a lot to like here. Um, they haven't made a tournament in a few years, but I don't think so. Yeah,
yeah.
they
Let
they
me
haven't made it since
2019.
2019, but they've been pretty solid every year. I think this could be the year they finally break through and make it again.
Yeah, you combine three really talented returners. Hopefully, provided Money Williams is able to come back to the team at some point, and then a really good class of newcomers. I think it should all blend well, and yeah, it's as good a chance of as any that they've had over the last few years. I think to get back.
Yes, definitely losing some really talented guys with Moody, Thomas, Vasquez, and Lulu. Okay, but yeah, really like the roster, liked additions, like the guys bringing back. I think even with or without Money Williams, this is the best team in the conference. But
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think they're kind of my clear cut first, and then MI's 2 through 5 are all pretty close, and then um 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10 tier of its own is kind of how I would break it up.
yes. But the last team in the conference, Eastern Washington, they won the league last year, but I have them at ninth in year one of Dan Montanera.
I've got them dropping to 6, so not quite as far as you, but I think just I don't know a total the roster completely bare from last year's
Yeah.
regular season winning teams. So
Yeah, not a ton on this roster in general. Tyler Powell and Angela Winkle are probably some guys you have to buy stock in if this team is gonna succeed. Pablo Zubia has kind of bounced around and never really done anything, but he was a pretty highly rated recruit at one point. We'll
yeah, one
see
of
if
like
yeah.
20 guys on their fourth school. So
Yes, I've been seeing those posts on Twitter recently.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
and he theoretically could go somewhere next year because I think he has 2 years left. We'll see if how like the backcourt does because there's a ton of uncertainty there. Um,
yeah. It's a couple of the guys that were bought into for breakouts: Mason Williams, Sebastian Hartman. So there's room for growth there. There's potential there, but it's just does it pan out? All those guys under 15 minutes a game last year. Nick McClain as well, another guy limited usage.
yeah, they also got NAI transfer and Andrew Cook from Carroll. Carroll, they went 19-12 last year. Maybe someone to keep an eye on them. Let's see. They only lost to Utah Valley by 8 last year. I'm gonna pull up his stats. Cook had 19. He'll
Such a
probably
shot
be
over 50% from the field and three. So
yeah. Let me look up the stats. I wonder how many threes he took because sometimes percentages like that can be a little misleading. Yeah, he looks like he was 47, but he made
okay,
24 threes
47.
on the season. But yeah,
And then
should be an impactful piece.
a couple of guys out of my freshman team, Shawamba Ngoyi and Jackson Seal, should both be in and around that front court. Angelo Winkle, probably the headline guy, but I don't know. With Zubia being a question mark, I could see both those guys and Ngoyi and Seal having a role.
Yeah, just overall, it's going to be a big step back from what's been the previous few years.
Yeah, and I think you have to expect that um, with Riley moving on, but now at least you don't have to choke in the conference tournament. I mean, Dan Monson proved last year he can make a run from the middle of the pack, so maybe he pulls that off again. But
Yeah. This is somewhat of a young team, though. Besides Cook, who's listed as a senior, I believe everyone could theoretically be back the year next year. So we'll see. We'll see how the
yeah.
development goes. But any other notes on the Big Sky before we wrap it up?
Not I wouldn't say in particularly. Look for Montana to try to get back for the first time since 2019. And then in-state rivals, Montana State, probably their biggest competition in my eyes. So should be two good battles between those teams. And yeah, Montana State trying to go to 4 straight dances. So
Yes. Pretty somewhat fun conference though. I mean the Big Sky being out west, the games are on at night, so I definitely find myself watching some Big Sky basketball somewhat frequently. And a lot of these teams, especially Montana, is a team I'll probably be watching more than once this year. But yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning in to the Big Sky. Make sure to follow us on Instagram on Twitter/X at HoopScoopMedia. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. If you haven't, make sure to turn on post notifications so you don't miss any videos coming out. And make sure to follow Luke on Instagram at College Hoops Outlet, on Twitter/X at CHO Talk Sports. And anything else?
that's all for me. See you next time.
Yes, see you next time.